Welcome to Star Expose. If you love celebrity news and real entertainment updates, you're in the right place. Mel Owens never expected that the biggest adventure of his life would arrive after his hair had already started to gray, after his kids were grown, after his glory days in football had long faded into carefully stored memorabilia on a shelf. He thought love, real love, was something that belonged to a much younger version of himself. A version with quicker steps, fewer aches, and a whole world still ahead of him. But life, with its legendary sense of humor, had different plans. His journey into The Golden Bachelor began with a swirl of reactions from viewers everywhere. Some people were thrilled, some confused, and some said things like, "Really? Him? The guy with opinions about age limits?" But one thing was certain, Mel Owens was about to be tested. Not by the cameras, not by the producers, not even by America, but by the remarkable, confident, vibrant women waiting to meet him. As Mel walked into that mansion for the first time, something inside him shifted. He wasn't the man who made offhand comments anymore. Suddenly, he was the man standing in the middle of a bright, buzzing room while a group of women who had lived through marriages, careers, heartbreaks, triumphs, surprises, losses, reinventions, and entire eras of life, looked at him with curiosity and expectation. And Mel did what any man with sense would do. He swallowed hard, smiled nervously, and prayed he wouldn't embarrass himself. From night one, the women weren't shy. They challenged him, questioned him, called him out on his earlier comments about age and physical preferences. And Mel, caught off guard, slightly flustered, and suddenly very aware of how strong these women were, realized something important. He couldn't charm his way through it. He had to grow his way through it. And so began the slow, gradual journey of a man discovering not just romance, but humility, vulnerability, and connection that didn't rely on anything superficial. The dates that followed helped him peel off layers he hadn't touched in years. The conversations weren't small talk. They were deeply personal, sometimes awkward, sometimes hilarious, and sometimes so honest that even Mel didn't know what to do with the emotions hitting him all at once. But that honesty, raw and unpolished, was exactly why millions of people leaned closer to their screens. Everyone could see Mel changing. Everyone could see him learning. Everyone could see him falling. As the season continued, two women emerged as the unexpected anchors of Mel's heart, Cindy Cullors and Peg Munson. Completely different, completely captivating, and both impossible for Mel to ignore. Cindy was the woman who seemed to sense his emotions before he spoke them. She was thoughtful, intuitive, beautifully centered. When Cindy talked, she didn't just speak, she connected. She made him feel seen. And for a man who had spent years building walls of independence and self-reliance, being truly seen was a new and disarming experience. Cindy asked questions that went deeper than the show, questions that reached into the parts of Mel's heart he was used to keeping private. Then there was Peg. Peg Munson, the walking whirlwind, a spark disguised as a person, a woman who could crack a joke, challenge him in the next breath, and still manage to touch his heart before the moment ended. Peg teased him, playfully rolled her eyes at his attempts to be suave, dragged him into dance moves he absolutely did not know, and whenever he tried to act cool, Peg broke through his seriousness with a laugh so contagious that even Mel gave up trying to pretend. Mel found himself smiling more when Peg was around. Not polite smiles, not polite laughter. Real joy. The kind you feel in your chest, in your bones, in that place you didn't realize had gone
The journey
quiet.
reached its final stretch. When Debbie Siebers was sent home and the path narrowed to just two, Mel felt the weight of reality pressing in. In Antigua, where the sunsets looked like fire melting into the ocean, Mel understood that this decision would define what the next chapter of his life looked like. Cindy represented calm, stability, emotional depth. a future filled with reflection, growth, and meaningful connection. Peg represented passion, laughter, adventure, spontaneity, a future filled with movement, energy, and joy. The choice was not simple. Cindy wanted the kind of relationship built on deep emotional conversations and steady trust, and Mel respected that. He admired her. He appreciated the gentleness she offered him. But Peg made him feel alive, in a way he didn't realize he was missing. And that feeling became impossible to ignore. There were rumors everywhere. Fans whispered online. Some said Cindy had won. Some insisted Peg was the only possible choice. Some argued that Mel wouldn't pick a woman who didn't fit his earlier preferences. But the truth was, those preferences melted away long before the final rose. Steve's report confirmed it first. Peg Munson was the winner. The woman who didn't meet Mel's so-called rules. The woman who wasn't under the age limit he once claimed he had. The woman who challenged him with her humor, her confidence, her personality, her spark. The woman who snapped him out of his comfort zone and made romance feel thrilling again. She changed everything. Even Cindy's supporters, people who adored her kindness, had to admit that Peg fit Mel's energy better. Peg could keep up with his stubbornness. Peg made him laugh in a way that softened him. And Mel didn't look like a man who wanted quiet. He looked like a man who wanted fire. Still, the internet had plenty to say. Some fans were thrilled. Some shocked. Some joked that Peg should win an award simply for signing up to be Mel's fiancé. But then something surprising happened. People started rooting hard for Peg and Mel. Because as much as fans loved Cindy, Peg represented something delightfully unexpected. She represented fun, adventure, romance without pressure, a love story that didn't take itself too seriously. And Mel? Well, Mel looked lighter around her, like a man who had stopped trying to control the narrative and finally let himself fall. Their chemistry became undeniable. Every look, every laugh, every teasing moment where Peg nudged him playfully, every time Mel tried to act stern while his eyes practically sparkled in her direction. It was the kind of connection that didn't require explanation, the kind of connection viewers could feel, even through a screen. Still, the question remains, will they last? Jerry Turner and Teresa Nist proved that even the strongest-looking Golden Bachelor couples can unravel quickly. The spotlight is intense, the pressure is real, and love, especially later in life, doesn't always follow a neat, predictable timeline. But Peg and Mel have something rare. They have humor, chemistry, spontaneity, and a shared willingness to surprise each other, challenge each other, and enjoy each other in the moment. Maybe that's exactly what they need to make it work. Because love isn't always about perfection. Sometimes it's about being perfectly yourself with someone who doesn't want you to be anything else. And with Peg, Mel gets to be himself. Messy, complicated, evolving, romantic, stubborn, and hopeful. Peg doesn't want to fix him. Cindy wanted to heal him. But Peg wants to live with him. For now, Mel and Peg are enjoying their time together, laughing, flirting, teasing, learning each other's rhythms, and building something that feels both exciting and deeply comforting. They're a reminder that love doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't follow checklists. It doesn't cater to expectations. It simply finds people who are ready to feel something real again. If you predicted Peg from the start, you saw something most people missed. If you didn't, you're in good company, because even Mel didn't realize what he needed until she walked into his life with a smile that didn't take no for an answer. Their future may be uncertain, their journey may be unpredictable, but the rose has been given, the choice has been made, and the next chapter is theirs alone to shape. Somewhere right now, Mel Owens is probably laughing at another one of Peg's outrageous jokes, trying to act unimpressed while failing miserably. Peg is probably nudging him with that mischievous grin she's famous for. And Mel, looking at her with that soft, almost disbelieving expression, is thinking, of all the women, of all the paths, of all the endings, it was her. It was always going to be her. Thanks for watching Star Expose. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next big story.